So I think this is going to start to kind of tail into. I wanted to talk about coaching the youth level in general, kind of today, because now I would say going in my third year of coaching UAT now, I'd say I'm like officially a coach now. I feel like it counts. I feel like it counts. So what I'm it's so interesting to me seeing the dynamics of what it takes to do a good job. First of all, what it takes to actually understand how to coach, first of all. Second is what it takes to do a good job as a coach. Third, what the expectations are for someone who's coaching still a youth level. Like, even though we kind of treat our kids, it's almost like our model is almost like a hybrid where they're almost like we treat them a little bit like they're in junior, but they're not still. So it's still youth, and seeing what the expectations are from, the parents, the players, and hearing the feedback, and then getting it from both ends, because I'm actually on the bench doing the job, and then I also feel the feedback on what the sentiment is for the people experiencing it, and how all those dynamics kind of play. It's super interesting in the position that we're in this year, where we actually have some pretty good teams. We're having some success. Everybody's still on their own development track, and it's not going to be perfect, and kids have a lot to learn, and the coaches have a lot to learn, and all that stuff. So kind of, what are your, just I guess to start, your general thoughts, philosophies on being a coach for a youth hockey team, and let's say a high level youth hockey team. So that would be your triple A's, whatever U18 draft year, a little bit older, kind of in our realm, and just your general kind of thoughts on that.
Just general thoughts on being a coach at that level. What I see, and we've talked about this, is when people coach hockey, and we're just talking the coach's perspective.
Whatever, however you want to take it.
Okay. I think what we see is that you're in a position coaching youth hockey at any level. I think what can happen really quickly is that you think you have to coach. Like, what I mean by that is overcoach, and I think that a lot of people are guilty of it. And I said this here, right? I said I think we're overcomplicating something that's fairly simple. What we have to understand is that they are not junior and pro players. They're going to make a ton of mistakes. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. We're not professional coaches right now, so. And with coaches, you can overcompensate. Lack of knowledge sometimes makes you have that imposter syndrome, where you come in and you got to say the words and sound like you're really smart. So instead of saying get in front of the net, it's like you use the term net fronts presence plus all these fancy. You don't need to do that. They're kids. So number one for me is like, try not to overcoach. You need to know, have a clue what you're doing, but don't overcoach. So to back that up a bit is like, let's make sure that we're having fun. Let's have some freaking fun, man. Like, that's one of the things that I see. The biggest things is that when things get too tight, kids can't play, coaches are too serious. It's like, it's no fun. Let's have some fun. Now, winning is fun. Being good and accomplishing the goals are fun, but we're allowed to have some fun. We're 13, 15, 17, 18-year-old kids. We're not pros. We need to have some fun. And I think when you incorporate some fun in, like, not incorporate it, it should be fun. So from there, you do as a coach need to have something. So I'm not minimizing that. So have a plan, stick to your guns. You get the message across to your kids, let them make mistakes a little bit, have enough knowledge to correct it, but just be prepared, have practice plans, have an idea of what you're going to do, and execute it the best you can. The next thing I would say is understand that no matter what you do, how you do it, doesn't matter. I was the best coach in the world, except for like one person on the team, like a couple times. And so I'm not the best coach in the world anymore. But for a period of time, I was the best coach in the world. But that one person, you never make them happy. Another time, I was the best coach in the world because for half the team. And the other ones, that's what you hear. You hear the shit ones. You hear the complaining and all that stuff. And it's like, stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. And then hopefully, you can give the kids a break on some of their mistakes or sometimes their lack of effort. Hopefully, the kids can give you honesty, right? Tell them when you're not your best, and hopefully a parent can understand that, like, you're a youth coach, man.
Yeah,
like it's not the NHL.
You said. I want to go back to overcoaching thing, but you said stick to your guns. How do you balance the stick to your guns versus fielding the feedback? So like, because so this, I'll just give you my perspective. This is just my way of doing things. I'm not saying this is the right way. I am a over communicator, probably to a fault. I want to hear the feedback. I'm open to talking to any parent all the time about whatever they want. It doesn't matter to me. I'll always find the time to hear what they have to say and all that stuff. I also know when to draw the line, right? I know when to draw the line, but I want that feedback because I want to hear. And maybe it's because I've been coaching. I've been a head coach for 3 years. Like that's not a long time. So like I want the feedback. I want to know how I can get better. Maybe that's why. But how? And that's my way of doing it. So how would you draw the line of stick to my guns? I have a plan. This is what I want to do versus making modifications based on feedback that you're hearing.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like you can definitely listen to feedback, but is your feedback going against your philosophy? So that's my biggest thing with anything is it'd be like building these teams. What's the philosophy? Are we just having a team to ice a team? Are we having a team to win? Are we trying to make the best team that we can? Right. So if you don't have a philosophy, then anybody can sign up, and then what are you? Yeah. Right. So it's the same thing as coaching, right? Are you coaching for? You can do both, sort of, but are you coaching to develop or are you coaching to win? Those are two different philosophies, kinda. Right. So if your mandate and your philosophy is like I want to win, then you're coaching a certain way, and what happens is like everybody wants to be on board to the winning on the winning side, right? Everyone wants to win, but at the expense of what? Is it my kid that doesn't get to play as much? Right? So are you playing 2 lines and 1 line sitting, or is there only 1 power play unit? So the expense of that's what I'm talking about is stick to your guns. So if it's about winning philosophy, which if that's what your mentality is, it's fine. You could try to be a champ at everything you do. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's encouraged. Go win as many games as you can. Be a winner. But that comes at an expense of something, right? So if it's only to win, you're going to hear it from some parents. Right. And then trust me on this, even when you're given, like if you're the kid that is like my number one guy, it's still never enough to the superstar's dad or the whatever. It's never enough. And then if God help you if you lose 1 or 2 games or tie or don't beat the shit out of someone, right? Yeah. I had that problem with when I was coaching in Bell Tire. We're the best team, and we tied Victory Honda. DeBrincat was on that team, and one of my parents just was, I can't believe. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But that's what they wanted. They wanted to win. Yeah. So now if your philosophy is on development, that doesn't mean you can't win, but your philosophy is more on the development side. So you might sacrifice a win here and there for a lesson, or for maybe it's for whatever the development reasons are, right? So that's what I'm saying. So like when a parent comes down and says like this development shit is horse shit, like we need to start winning some games, you know what you're about. Right. And that's what it's all about, right? You know what it's about. You signed up for this. This is what we said we were going to do. We're sticking to our guns. And then again, you can talk to them about, is it short term that you're looking at your hockey or long term? Yeah. Whatever. So anyways, that's what I mean by sticking to your guns. Like, what is your philosophy? Because you know what, like to be quite honest with you, you're not, if your nature is to be like a competitive, can't lose type of guy at all costs in life. Like there's players like that. Like that's why someone will take a 10-game misconduct or a suspension because they tried to take someone's head off, literally, because they were losing a game or something, right? So that person, if you tell them, okay, you're going to coach and you're going to just develop players, square peg, round hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You try to tell a guy that's so competitive, we're just going to develop. Don't worry about the wins and losses. Good luck. So if your nature is, I need to win, like, and that's my thing. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but there's an expense to that, right?
Yeah, because I think there's,
and vice versa.
There's a certain amount of like expectation on, that comes a lot of times. It'll come from the parents or the parent group, right? Because they are actually expecting more, which they probably don't even, most of the time. I'll say this, most of the time, this is just my opinion again, but most of the time they're not really in a position to judge whether there should be more or less of anything, Like, should there be more skills? Should there be more systems? Should there be more whatever? But everybody's going to have their opinion, and that's fine. But there's a certain amount of pressure that's going to come on youth coaches that, they want more. They want, and it'll skew towards that. It's overkill. Like, we're overdoing it. Like, how many practices can we have? How much video am I going to do? How many workouts can we have? How many times am I going to text them in the group chat with new systems to look at and videos to watch and all of this stuff? And at a certain point, you have to remember that they're kids, and there's only so much information they're going to absorb. How many times do you ask them to clean the room? How many times do they clean the room? You got to tell them 48 times for them to clean it once. It's the same thing when we're teaching them hockey. It's the same thing. I say the same things over and over. And like, the way that I am with my guys is, we have our systems. I have kind of like 2 or 3 of everything. And like, that's plenty. Like, that's more than enough, because they have enough trouble just executing that. Like, I don't need to bring in college level systems where we have 15 different forechecks and all of that to make them the most prepared possible, because they just can't absorb the information. But the parents, and I say this with all due respect, because they just, you don't know what you don't know, and I can appreciate that. But the parents are often the ones that are pushing, we should have some more of this. We should have more of this. Well, why do we have an off weekend? Why don't we have a game this weekend? And it never stops. And I'm not even necessarily talking about this from my own experience, although there's some of it that's from my own experience, but I just hear the sentiment. Like, I receive the feedback. I have my antennas up for the feedback, and as the coach, it's hard to not cave. I don't want to say it this way.
No, there's pressure.
Yeah. Like,
you hear something enough, you're going to, you start thinking, okay, maybe it's me.